always next to him. Yes, that is. He's so nice. Very nice to meet you.
I'm Deanne Bailey, President and CEO, and I'm pleased to have so many distinguished business and community leaders here with us today. We have a number of elected officials joining us, and I'd like to take a moment to recognize them. The Honorable Mayor Edward A. Betancourt Jr., Senator Joe Martin, Representative Spencer Notice, Office Deputy Director Rick Davis. Also joining us are City Councilor at Large David Bell, Councilor at Large Tom Gould, Councilor at Large Tom Walsh, and your Assistant Councilor Pete McGinn. Tracy Belletti, Library Trustee, has joined us today. And Light Plant Commissioners Tom Paris, Bob Wheatley, and Charles Bonfanti. And last but certainly not least, we're pleased to have the former Mayor Michael Bonfanti with us. I'm also excited to have the students from the Advanced Placement History class from PV Veterans Memorial High School joining us again this year. So thanks for joining us. If you were at this breakfast last year, you heard the announcement that the PV Area Chamber of Commerce would be launching a Young Entrepreneurs Academy. And I'm pleased to say the inaugural group is 1/3 of the way through this after-school program and are firming up their business ideas. Over the next 10 weeks, they'll be busy writing business plans in preparation for the investors panel, which is like a Shark Tank, in late March. And we have 6 of the students here today, and I encourage you to introduce themselves to them, learn about their business ideas and about the academy. And we are still looking for a couple of folks to mentor these students, and if you're interested, please see Maria after the breakfast. It's literally a couple of weeks on a Wednesday afternoon for an hour, so we appreciate your help. I want to thank the following businesses for sponsoring the high school and the Yale students, providing them an opportunity to learn what's going on in the city, the region, and the issues affecting the business community. Those businesses are ADCO Incorporated, Boston Children's Hospital, Century Bank, Circle Insurance, Citizens for Adequate Housing, East Boston Savings Bank, Eastern Bank, Graybock Associates, Holden Oil, Lion Walk Auto Group, North Shore Elder Services, Peabody House, Peabody Wealth Advisors, Phil Richard Insurance, and the Salem News. Each of those have sponsored several of the students here today, so we appreciate your support. Before we move on to our agenda, the Peabody Area Chamber of Commerce and the Government Affairs and Economic Development Committee would like to recognize our sponsors for their kind support, their generous contributions, and commitment to the local business community. They include Boston Children's Hospital, Citizens for Adequate Housing, Eastern Bank, and Graybock Associates. Our coffee sponsor this morning is Atlantic Ambulance Service, and our corporate sponsors include Craney Companies, the Kids Only After School, Holden Oil, North Shore Elder Services, North Shore Mall, and Peabody House. So one such leader in the business community is North Shore Bank, a longtime member of the Peabody Area Chamber of Commerce. And for over 120 years, North Shore Bank has provided quality banking services to families and businesses throughout the North Shore. And on behalf of the Chamber, I want to thank them for their support in their annual sponsorship of the State of the City address. Thank you, Dave. And now I'd like to introduce Chris Pesci, Chairman of the Board for
everyone. I'd like to start off by thanking everyone for making it out today and for being a supporter of the Chamber of Commerce. I'd also like to thank our elected officials for taking the time this morning to meet with us to discuss some of the important issues that are going to impact the business economy here in Peabody. Last month, the Chamber of Commerce held its Board of Directors orientation, and the goal of that orientation was to set the direction for 2016. We also have some new members on the board, so it's a good opportunity to get to know each other and make sure that we're all starting on the same page. We're very proud to announce that this year, your Chamber of Commerce is celebrating its 85th anniversary as an organization that represents the businesses here in Peabody. So we're very proud. But we do realize that a lot has changed in the last 85 years. Today, I'm sure there are some businesses that question the relevance of our local Chamber of Commerce. You can go on the internet and you could find networking groups, networking events, 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. You can get business data at your fingertips anytime you want. But our primary goal is to strengthen the local economy and encourage business-friendly legislation, permitting, and regulations for our members. When the Chamber speaks to issues facing the business community, elected officials listen because they know we represent a much larger audience. In the past, we've represented you to tackle some important issues that have impacted our community's overall economy. Issues like creating economic development, flood mitigation, and revitalization of downtown. Through our website, our email blast, newsletters, social media pages, online directory, and community calendar, we're able to inform you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Now, for those members who are interested in taking an active role in networking, we hold 3 events each month. Help you contact other business owners in the area, help you grow your business. Like Deanne mentioned, with our Young Entrepreneurs Academy, we're installing real-life business and leadership skills to some amazing kids. And we support education as a provider of career day and mentoring programs in conjunction with the PB Education Foundation. All of these initiatives help us maintain and grow a local, vibrant, and successful business environment, benefiting the community as a whole. And none of this would be accomplished without your support. So again, let me thank you for being here and thank you for supporting the Chamber of Commerce. At this time, I'd like to introduce the Chairman of our Government Affairs Committee, Mr. Jason Placcio.
Good morning and thank you. PBD Area Chambers Commerce manages an active advocacy program combining research, surveys, government relations, and communications. Through its board of directors and members of the Government Affairs Committee, PBD Area Chambers forged key relationships with elected officials and leaders of the government agencies, making it an advocate for the business community, all in an effort to bolster our local economy. Use the word advocacy, but what does that really mean? The definition of advocacy is speaking on behalf or in support of another person, place, or thing. So as far as the Chamber is concerned, advocacy looks something like this. When a small business owner has voiced frustration over lengthy and costly processes of dealing with the new sign review board, the Chamber supported changes that eliminated the board and established guidelines for what is and is not allowed. When legislature passed legislation to tax computer and software services, we worked with our elected officials to understand the burden of this tax and the need to repeal it. Knowing that businesses, property owners, and residents alike want a vibrant downtown, the Chamber is at the forefront to create a Main Streets program and lead partner with the City Transformation District Initiative to bring revitalization and flood mitigation to Walnut Street. These are just a few of the points, but you'll find yourself wondering what the Chamber does. It's issues like this that our Board of Directors and Government Affairs Committee members address while you run your own business and why your support to our organization is so important. Which brings us to why we're here today. To hear about what is happening in Peabody and the North Shore, and discuss issues facing businesses in our communities. We will hear from each of our elected officials then have a few minutes for questions and answers. It's now my pleasure to introduce the Mayor Edward Bettencourt Jr., who has been leading the city of PB since 2012.
Thank you, and good morning to each and every one of you. I'm once again honored to be here among such a group of distinguished PB business and civic leaders. I thank the PB Area Chamber of Commerce for this opportunity to update you on some of the very latest economic and community development initiatives affecting the city of PB. I also want to thank the Chamber for being such a tremendous partner to me over the last 4 years. I feel especially privileged to be the mayor who kicks off a great year-long celebration of our city's centennial anniversary. This year we turn 100 years old as a city. I've spoke about this before. Certainly we have a long history. We were part of Salem once. Then in 1868 we became the town of city of PB after at one point becoming the town of South Danvers. And then in 1916 we changed our city charter to a vote to become a city of PB rather than a town. So this year, and really any way we can find to have a celebration, we're going to celebrate our 100th anniversary. We have some outstanding events that have been planned by our Centennial Committee to mark this historic occasion in grand fashion. The Family Festival at Brooksby Farm will be on May 15th, 2016. A Stars and Stripes concert will be on July 23rd, 2016, in which we are planning to have one of the United States military bands come to perform at the high school. A Grand Centennial Parade will be on October 2nd, 2016, which truly going to be something spectacular. We already have bands from across the state, across New England. We have floats. We're going to have something special that day. A Centennial Birthday Party will be on January 2nd, 2017, which is the midterm inauguration. And finally, a Grand Centennial Ball on April 30th, 2017. In addition to the 5 major centennial events, there will be a number of small events and festivals this year to commemorate our 100th birthday. As we begin our centennial year, I am pleased to report that PB has much to celebrate. Thanks to the hard work and dedication of so many people in this room this morning, as well as a great many others across the city, PB has made great strides in the past 4 years, and we have laid the groundwork for a tremendous period of economic growth over the next decade and beyond. 4 years ago at this breakfast, I identified Centennial Park in downtown PB as 2 key areas of focus for my administration. Shortly thereafter, I appointed an Economic Development Council, which implemented a series of action steps designed to improve Centennial Park. Certainly, Centennial Park had always been known as an industrial park. And we wanted to honor that past. We also wanted to make it easier, according to our zoning, to allow more medical offices and business offices, and also some of the amenities that a lot of the employees were looking for in the park. We met with, I think, just about every business in Centennial Park and asked the business owners and the employees what they were looking for. And there were just a lot of amenities that they were looking for, a gym, a coffee shop, things of that nature. So we went about, the City Council and I, and we made the changes to our zoning to make it easier for those businesses to come to the park. And those efforts have paid off with the opening of Centennial Crossing. It's a 40,000 square foot retail and office complex just off of Linfield Street. This development is now home to shops, restaurants, and professional services, which provide valuable employee amenities within walking distance of many of Centennial Park's largest companies. Centennial Crossing is the most significant expansion of Centennial Park in 25 years, and it gives a tremendous boost to our efforts to attract new business to PB with good paying jobs for our residents. Centennial Crossing alone just brought into the city over 80 new jobs. And we just had a ribbon cutting a couple of weeks ago for Atlantic Home Care, and I was very excited. Chamber and I were talking to the owners of the development, Kevin Lucy and his family, and they are 2 years ahead of schedule in terms of renting out the space. There's one more space that needs to be rented out, and they're already in deep discussions with the group to come in there, and that point will be 100% at capacity, and again, it's 2 years ahead of their schedule. Continuing the momentum created by the Main Street redesign project, in which we reduced the lanes from 4 to 2, we are ready to begin this spring the second phase of work, which is going to be the PB Square redesign project. The goals are similar: make the area safer for pedestrians and motor vehicles, easier for motor vehicles to park, and also beautify a tired area that is in desperate need of a facelift. Last year, we successfully secured a $1.5 million state grant to help fund this project, which we also believe will greatly improve the flow of downtown traffic, which is, as you know, something that we struggle with. The project will relocate the Civil War monument away from traffic and make it the centerpiece of a new green space in front of the district court building. By eliminating dangerous and confusing slip lanes and synchronizing traffic lights, the project will create a more traditional four-way intersection and make the entire square more attractive, more business and pedestrian friendly. One thing that we're finally going to be able to do, it's been a cause, it's not been the sole source, but it's going to cause us some of the traffic issues we've had downtown, is all the lights work independently. So now with this project, we're finally be able to link all the different lights that are in the Peavy Square area, not just Peabody, the immediate Peavy Square, but all the lights in that area, Walnut Street, Washington Street, those will all be synchronized and linked, and we think that's going to have a tremendous impact. There's still going to be traffic downtown, there's just so many cars that come through that area, which is also a benefit to us. We have over 25,000 cars that pass through Peavy Square. It's a benefit in that way, bringing those cars downtown, but it certainly has crossing issues, and we think this will help tremendously. Our aggressive pursuit of state dollars to help finance significant downtown infrastructure improvements has attracted private investors. During the past 4 years, developers purchased several key downtown parcels and have begun injecting millions of dollars in business and residential development into the area. We're a strong proponent of the City Council, the majority of the City Council is as well, that we need mixed use. We need the businesses and also residential, and we're looking for projects that are have both of those. And we're already seeing that with some improved facades and new business plans coming in. In addition, some important news that has taken place over the last couple weeks. Last week, the city purchased the St. Paul's Church on Washington Street. That is number 12 to 16 Washington Street, St. Paul's Church. I'll get to that in a moment. The process of acquiring, we are also now in the process, in fact, meeting with the City Council on Thursday evening to ask for authorization to take the 2 Washington Street property, which is the old O'Shea building, also known as the Betancourt Furniture Building. Not my family, but it's the Betancourt Furniture Building property. I want to make sure that's known. At 2 Washington Street. We're moving to take that by eminent domain, which is something that we believe will work very well for that area. We are targeting these 2 properties for the creation of a true downtown destination that we believe will bring people to patronize our many excellent current shops and restaurants. We're having many discussions exploring different ideas. One that we're strongly considering is the idea of a children's museum. We've been studying that. The City Council and I, Community Development Department, have been studying the concept of a children's museum as a destination for downtown. We've gone on field trips, looked at others in the area, and we think that could be something that would work very well with our city, as well as some other uses. But it's a beautiful building, historic building. That's actually the building where, in the Battle of Lexington and Concord, people from the area met at that site and then headed out to defend or to fight for our country. And it was fight for our independence, actually. So there's a lot of historic value to that property, and we believe it will be an excellent addition. And if we do it right, we could have something special over in that area. Across the Commonwealth, only 10 gateway cities are home to a transformative development initiative, a TDI district in development, and we are lucky to be among those 10. With this distinguished destination, Peabody will receive enhanced technical assistance, real estate services, and equity investments in real estate to support local visions for redevelopment and to catalyze and leverage investments and economic activities. Specifically, the goal for our North River Neighborhood District is a mixed-use neighborhood with an identity all its own, including a Riverwalk component with restaurants and open space oriented towards the North River, making for a more inviting and safer area. Since the fall of 2015, the core partnership for the TDI district, the Peabody Area Chamber of Commerce, North Shore Community Development Coalition, and the city staff have been working with Mass Development and noted architecture, design, planning, and urban design and landscape architects, the firm Sasaki Associates, on a district master plan, which, thanks to input from our advisory group, as well as a valuable public input session, will be unveiled later this spring that we're very excited about. Overall, our efforts to position Peabody as a hub for new business development and job creation are paying off. Last year, the city issued 300 new business certificates, and I've been privileged to attend 50 ribbon cuttings for new companies just in the past 2 years alone. With a continued focus on downtown Peabody and Centennial Park, Centennial Park is also, I think, there's going to be some tremendous announcements over the next few months as to some outstanding businesses that are coming to Centennial Park. Peabody will continue to be the economic engine that we all want to drive the entire region. I did want to make a couple of comments about some of the great strides we're making in education. We have some terrific students that are here today from Peabody High School, and I want to just mention a couple things that we're very proud of. The latest MCAS scores, which is the Massachusetts state testing that's required every year, just were released a few weeks ago. And I'm very happy to report that we have significant progress. Just to kind of give you an idea on the MCAS scores, each district, each city is ranked 1 through 4. 1 being the highest, excellent, 2 being good, 3 being needs improvement, and 4 being poor, needs possible state intervention at 4. And your rating is what your lowest school is. So last year we were a level 3 because we had our high school was a level 3, our middle school was a level 3, and 2 out of our 8 elementary schools were a level 3. 6 out of our 8 elementary schools were a level 2, and 1 of the elementary schools was a level 1. Well, this round of testing with our MCAS scores, now we have all of our elementary schools, all 8 are now level 2 schools, so both improved from a level 3 to a level 2. Our Higgins Middle School went up from a level 3 to a level 2, and our high school scores went up. We're still at that level 3, but we're right on that border, and we're very excited about that. And the school that was a 1 stayed at a 1. So we've made significant progress in 3 out of our 4 schools, and the high school is really, really close. So we're very happy about that, and we feel like a lot of the work that we've been doing is paying off. At the high school, we opened a school-based health center just this past spring, and to provide comprehensive primary care to students as well as routine sports physicals, immunizations, and case management of chronic health conditions such as diabetes and asthma. It works in conjunction with our nurse's office, but we wanted to have it more, to be able to have more specialized treatment for some of the issues that were taking place in our community. The center also provides behavioral health services and is a tremendous resource to help combat the opiate epidemic that has affected Massachusetts and the entire New England region. We're working with Boston Children's and Leahy on that initiative as well as others, and it's something that I think is we're seeing some assistance and help provided to some students that really need it. Also at the high school, we completed a major renovation of the outdoor athletic complex, highlighted by a new track and multi-use turf field, and we've made dramatic improvements to the cafeteria and are now exploring renovations to the auditorium and gymnasium that we're hoping to do in the upcoming year or 2. And of course, the largest city project is the construction of our new Higgins Middle School. What was once just an open field that played host to soccer and flag football games will now be home to a state-of-the-art 3-story school building featuring the latest technology for 21st century learning. New technology, new science labs, new classrooms. It's really something spectacular. It's the largest project in our city's history, largest construction project, and I'm pleased to report that the new Higgins remains on schedule, on budget, and ready to open to students this fall. We are making great strides in improving our open space parks and recreational opportunities. This past fall, we dedicated the Mayor Michael J. Bonfanti Nature Trail and Conservation Area at Sidney's Pond. This is phase 1 of the South Peabody Trail Network, which opens up 300 acres of city land from Sidney's Pond to Spring Pond to walkers, joggers, and cyclists. If you haven't had the opportunity, I hope you're able to get over to the entrance to the Nature Trail and Conservation Area is at our golf course. If you were to park at our golf course, the Meadows Golf Course, and you have a moment, please check that out. It's a beautiful area with an observation deck overlooking Sidney's Pond, and we're very honored to name that in honor of Mayor Michael Bonfanti, who did so much for the city of Peabody. Mayor, it's nice to see you here. Thank you. In a similar vein, just one other thing I wanted to mention, a project that we're working on, and we actually got some good news this week. We got our final permit from the Army Corps of Engineers to move forward on the restoration of Crystal Lake. We are well underway with the design, and as I said, we just got our last permit, and we're ready to come up with our plan in terms of timing. This year, the vital dredging and restoration work will begin, and the area will be transformed into a true natural treasure in which all of us can enjoy and take great pride. One other area I wanted to mention, we are making great strides in maintaining our affordability and high level of services. Over the past 4 years, we have invested heavily in Peabody's future, from education and infrastructure to public safety and quality of life. These investments in our collective efforts have paid dividends. For the second straight year, our average residential home value has increased, this year by 6.7%. Despite the many projects we have undertaken together, Peabody remains one of the most affordable places to live in all of Massachusetts. In Essex County alone, Peabody's tax bills rank among the very lowest of the 31 cities and towns in Essex County. We are at the very bottom 2 or 3. And we believe we have never sacrificed anything for our municipal services. As mayor, I am proud of the strides we have made together during the past 4 years, and I am committed to continuing our progress, and I look forward with great optimism to a bright Peabody future. And again, I want to thank all of you for the work that you provide for the city. So many of you serve on our boards and different committees. The Chamber of Commerce has been an integral part of everything that we've been able to accomplish, and there's so much more to do. I feel like we've built some good building blocks, and I'm hoping that this year is really the year that we start to see some of the fruits of our labor in our downtown, which is something that we all want and all want to be proud of. And I feel like we're going to make that happen in our centennial year of 2016. So I want to thank you for your time this evening. And again, I want to thank you for your continued support for the city of Peabody. Thank you.
Prior to joining the Massachusetts legislature, Senator Joan Lovely served on the Salem City Council for over 15 years. Now in her second term as state senator for the 2nd Essex District, comprised of Beverly, Danvers, and Peabody, Salem, and Topsfield. Senator Joan Lovely.
Good morning. Now just think, it's only 7 weeks till spring. Yay. Thank you to President Deanne Healy, the Peabody Chamber, staff, all of your membership here for inviting me to speak with you today. It's great to be here with the mayor, with Congressman Moulton's office, Jake, with the Representative Spiliotis, to give legislative remarks and an update. With representatives from federal, state, and local government, I want to focus my attention on some of the key-wide state issues that we've been working on this past year and what's coming up in 2016. Looking back at 2015, the Senate placed an emphasis on reforming the MBTA, combating the current opioid crisis, implementing criminal justice reforms, and lifting up hard-working families. To address the MBTA and transportation, legislature and the governor worked together to overhaul the governance structure of the MBTA, very bipartisan approach to getting our transportation system back on track. Right now, the T is going across the state. I just actually attended a public hearing in Lynn last night, talking about both fee upgrades, not upgrades, fee increases, and also changes to the schedule. So anybody who's a commuter into Boston or elsewhere on the commuter rail, bus, whatever type of mode of public transportation you take, please weigh in on this very important issue. The T needs to hear from you. I know that I actually get daily updates from both a Beverly and a Salem commuter out of those 2 train stations on their experience on a daily basis. It's not a good experience. That's why they are talking to us, and I'm grateful that they are. We refer all of those comments right over to the T. It's very important to have communication between our residents, our constituents, our commuters, and our elected officials. So the MBTA and the legislature are working very hard at improving the transportation system across our Commonwealth. Over $2 million in new funding has been announced in 2015 for Peabody roadways through Chapter 90 and the Winter Resiliency Assistance Program. To encourage innovation, the Senate has also passed the net metering legislation for solar energy. We think it's really important, again, to grow this industry, make it more affordable, to put them on businesses and residents across our Commonwealth. To address the health of the stabilization of our Commonwealth, our rainy day fund, the legislature recently gave an additional $120 million to rebuild that reserve. very important to keep that account growing. And so when we have those down times, we can go to that account and to be able to sustain some of our services. Very difficult to do, but very, very important, and one that the Senate feels is really critical. To help with hardworking families, the Senate helped lead the effort to increase the earned income tax credit by 50%. We believe that the EITC increase, it has not been increased in nearly 18 years, helping more than 400,000 families across the Commonwealth, including 1 in 10 tax filers right here in Peabody. Again, a very important initiative that we really concentrated on. It also puts more money in the pockets of consumers that need it most. To act on the opioid crisis, I know you read obituaries in the newspaper on a weekly basis. We are working very hard. The Senate has passed a comprehensive reforms to promote prevention, education, and reduction of prescription opioids. So we're looking for when someone goes in, like my own daughter a couple of years ago, went in to have her wisdom teeth out and came home with 30 Percocet, I was horrified. And at that time, I was chair of the Mental Health and Substance Abuse Committee. I'm now vice chair of that committee. And I had learned so much about the unintended consequences, especially for our youth, of taking a prescription and then becoming addicted. No one grows up to want to be a drug addict. And so we are working very hard with the governor and with the House to be able to strengthen that. We've also added the drug Narcan is now available to municipalities across the Commonwealth. And we actually have strengthened the penalties for trafficking in fentanyl. That's the additive that is now added to heroin to make it so much stronger, and which is taking so many of our young people's lives. In total, the fiscal year 2016 budget includes more than $116 million additional dollars in substance abuse treatment to address this epidemic. To address our criminal justice system, the Senate eliminated the automatic suspension of a person's driver's license for non-violent drug offenders. So what happens in this case, someone who has a drug addiction and finds themselves in the criminal justice system and it's not related to a driving offense, when they get out of the system, they have no driver's license. That has been pulled from them. And now they need to get to rehab programs, they need to find a job and get to a job. So we've taken a look at this and said, okay, if it's not related to a driving offense, we're not going to pull your license because we want you to get back on the road to recovery and resistance right away. So we thought that was a good area to head into. We're doing a lot of great work to help advance Peabody. The schools and local projects. The mayor mentioned the middle school, how that beautiful building that's has grown out of the ground over next to the police station. It's just wonderful to be able to see. Peabody has the biggest middle school in the Commonwealth, and so we want to be able to provide a state-of-the-art education to our Peabody students. I led the collaboration with Representative Spiliotis and former Representative Cole to secure the $400,000 of state funds for Crystal Lake restoration. Looking forward to seeing that get off the ground, and $100,000 for continued flood mitigation. I think Peabody's making very good strides in that area under the leadership of Mayor Betancourt, and we want to continue to help. So it's been a very productive year at the State House. I want to just add a couple of extra updates. The committee that I chair on the Senate side is State Administration and Regulatory Oversight. We oversee public records law, open meeting law, lobbyists, public construction, all public construction, and the pipeline, the gas pipeline that's coming across the state. So we've actually already held our first Article 97 hearing back in the fall for a little tiny town out in Sandusfield, Massachusetts, about a 3-hour drive from here. I have a whole new appreciation for my colleagues from Western Massachusetts who make that commute. I'm very happy that I live in Salem, and my commute's about an hour in the morning, so it's not too bad. But it's a very important initiative. That's the first filing of probably about 100 that will come in front of this committee. 100 filings for Article 97 land to suspend the protection of Article 97 lands, which is conservation areas, public park lands, those types of properties. There's a reason why that is put into place, is to protect those properties. And so we're taking a hard look at this. If we deny that permit, the committee has not acted on it yet. Should that be denied, that will probably be a case of first impression in federal district court. whether the federal government can supersede Article 97, which is in our Constitution. So please stay tuned for that. We are working very hard on this and how to figure this out for the impacts on Peabody, Danvers, where this pipeline is slated to come through, and then other communities all across the Commonwealth. Also wanted to just let you know, as you may know, all you Peabody residents and voters, next Tuesday is a primary election for both Democrats and Republicans. Please go out and vote. I think that may be a lower voter turnout. So please get out and vote for your candidate. You don't have a state rep right now. Representative Spiliotis and I are doing our best to fill those shoes. And I want to give a special shout out for Representative Spiliotis. He chairs a very important committee on the House side, bills in third reading, that is one seat away from being Speaker. And I'm very grateful to him and his leadership and friendship to me and my 3 years now in the Senate. He's really been a wonderful partner, but we also need a Peabody state rep back in that seat to also work with us and partner with us. So thank you, Representative Spiliotis, for all that you do for entire town of city of Peabody, not just West Peabody. Two more. The mayor announced Peabody as a gateway city. That's not a bad thing. There are a tremendous amount of resources, and we're working very closely with Peabody, with the mayor and his planning department to get as many resources in as possible. And also, I have an announcement that I can't make until tomorrow, but I'm going to be sitting on a new committee in the Senate that I'm very excited about, and that will come out tomorrow. But hopefully that will be a good thing for Peabody as well, and I know it will be. So thank you again for inviting me to be here this morning, and I look forward to the remarks from the other speakers. And thank you, Mayor Betancourt, for your leadership here in the city of Peabody, and to the Peabody Chamber. Thank you.
Our next guest was born and raised in Peabody and has proven to be a tireless advocate of the communities, individuals, families, and businesses in his district. Please join me in welcoming Representative Ted Spiliotis.
Joan doesn't go too far. She's giving me a boot if I say the wrong thing. So I'll tell you. Thank you so much. First of all, it's such a pleasure to follow the mayor and the senator in these comments because I think the theme this morning has been perfect and consistent with what I would like to say. There are three general themes rather than specifics that you heard from the mayor and the senator that I'd like to hit on that kind of describe what state government is at today and has been for quite some time. First thing, and I think that you ask for as a business community, stability, teamwork, and partnerships. When you enter meetings, many chamber meetings, you hear that an awful lot. You don't hear that as often in government because it just is a much more contentious, combative environment than the business community is as a collective. Not that you don't compete with each other, but the fact is that we tend to have our personal lives and personal feelings interjected far too much. And you guys know that the profit line at the bottom prevails. So let me just talk about stability and the fact that with a new governor, Governor Baker, and a new Senate president, we've come out with something that's been pretty consistent over the last 20 years. We are not going to address any shortfall with any new taxes this year. That means that you're comfortable to know where we're at and what your biggest impact is on the business community. Because obviously, when we look for taxes, we look for the deeper pockets. And you folks represent the deeper pockets than other aspects of our community. The other thing is, in the same vein, is teamwork. I see my predecessor, Sally Kearns, here today, and she can tell you that right after not a recent crisis, but one that goes back, some of you folks, to when you were babies, in the late 80s and early 90s, when the economy tanked, we were a financial basket case. And one of the reasons is we didn't work collaboratively. And you have to give credit to a former governor, Bill Weld, who started every Monday afternoon meetings with the Speaker, the Senate President, and the governor to help set an agenda. Didn't matter whether you're Republican, didn't matter whether you're Democrat, but you would move forward in a bipartisan manner to make sure that first and foremost, our financial house was in order. No matter what else we felt philosophically, whether we were progressives or conservatives or whatever, we were going to move forward in a consistent fashion that made sure that Massachusetts' best foot forward was placed in a financial matter. And that has been proven true right from 1991 to today. We finished this last recession in one of the finest shapes of any state in the nation. And that provided that stability for you folks to ride that storm. And we were lucky enough, and let's not kid ourselves, because it's not really represented in this room, but it's starting to be, and the mayor referred to it. There are two engines that drive Massachusetts, and we all know it: healthcare and higher education. We have more universities and colleges in 2 blocks in Boston than most states have in their entire state. We educate and we care for the most prestigious, wealthiest, most powerful people in the entire world, not just Massachusetts. Think about it. Any government seat you go to and you go out and reach out, we receive a phone call and say, could you help my mother? Could you help my son in times of need? Can you place my son in this college? I can tell you that because for the years I wasn't in office, I did the government affairs for Northeastern University. And in most states, Northeastern would be a prestigious place, a great engineering school, a thriving law school, and we're in the middle of the pack in Boston, fighting to survive at that time. That's the difference between Massachusetts and the rest of the country. And we're fortunate. So when you heard the other day that GE is moving their headquarters to Boston, that's huge. Not because of the immediate economic sense. 800 employees in a state of 6 million isn't going to change a whole lot, but it changes the trend that was going on for decades, in which we were a center power, and we ended up, and we all saw it after 9/11, we were really a suburb of New York City because we lost all of our headquarters. Every major company, as they consolidated, was leaving Boston and heading to New York. And what does that do? What does that do for philanthropy, for partnerships between public and private sectors? What does it do? It dries it up. It has less places to go. We as government have less places to reach out for help. And let me give you an example. The mayor touched on it and the senator touched on it, but I want to talk about one thing a little bit more specific about Peabody High. Mobil Oil started a multi-million-dollar campaign nationwide to get more kids into AP programs. They put in their money for a few years and they bailed out. And this is where a good relationship comes about. And I never say it right, but Ed Sapasanza, am I saying that right? The former principal at Peabody High, he called us, he emailed us. John Keenan and I, the former rep in Salem, put a couple of $1 million into a line item for AP programs. I can tell you that we have quadrupled the number of kids in AP programs in the city of Peabody. Quadrupled it. Think about that. 4 times more kids today are taking AP programs than they were 4 or 5 years ago, all because of a partnership between private and public. Now that was something that was just expected of the business community 20 or 30 years ago when you looked at the Boston Partnership and other places, but it dries up as the big companies move out, and we need them here. Another thing, I had the opportunity to tour a few years ago Google facility in Cambridge. That probably has a greater impact than GE coming here. But the fact is, those are the kinds of things we need from people like you to tell us what we ought to be doing to reach out to these companies, because they're the ones that drive this type of foundation money, that help the kids out and help the cities and towns where we need it. That's what we really need. And that partnership can never be replaced by government dollars. So I thank you for your importance in this process. I thank you for your involvement, because without it, you don't keep us on the ball. So thank you very much.
Congressman Seth Moulton was unable to join us today. However, his district director serves as the public face and the office while Congressman is in Washington, D.C. We're pleased to have Rick Jacobs join us this morning. Thank you, Rick.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you to the Chamber. Thank you, Mayor Betancourt, Senator Lovely, Representative Speliotis. Thank you for allowing me to join you up here on the dais. And I'm here to send regards from the Congressman who can't be here this morning, who I'm sure would rather be here this morning, especially given that the federal government has now been shut down for the day again due to the snow. I imagine the federal employees are all out frolicking like that panda bear on YouTube. So hopefully tomorrow we'll get them all back to work. But the Congressman is now a little over a year since he was sworn into office for his first term in Congress. And I want to speak a little bit about some of the work he has been doing, both at a national level that affects the entire country and certainly us here in the 6th Congressional District. But I want to spend most of my time really talking about the work that we've been doing to roll up our sleeves and hopefully make a difference and begin to make a real impact here in the 6th Congressional District. Before I do that, though, I can't address our friends in Peabody without also addressing our recent office move. As you all know, we recently opened our grand office and are no longer have our office here in Peabody Square. We were very sad and disappointed to leave Peabody Square. There was a long tradition of the office being here, and we recognize that. And I am certainly going through deep Petrillo's withdrawals at this moment, but we'll be back frequently. One of the things I think is important to talk about in that transition is the philosophy behind our move was really thinking about how do we bring Congress into the 21st century, and how does our office reflect that, both in the values of our team, but also in our physical space. And so one of the things we have done is we've downsized space-wise significantly, but we have increased in significant technology infrastructure. And that is really meant to help better connect us with all of our constituents, all 39 cities and towns, and to help better connect and facilitate interaction between our DC office and our district office. So we are frequently having video conference calls in our new office. We are regularly hosting, we have a senior teletown hall this Wednesday. We're doing an online forum with all of the local newspapers. And we are finding ways to leverage technology to engage better on a regular basis with our citizens and to be more interactive, to hear the needs and concerns of citizens and be able to react to those. That doesn't obviously replace human touch, though, and I do want to underscore that one of the commitments we have made is that the Congressman does a Congress on Your Corner town hall event in every single one of our cities and towns in his 2-year in the 2-year Congress. And so we just had one, I believe, last week here in Peabody, and we've gone through a dozen of those, and we get 30 or 40 residents who turn out. We actually send out about 15,000 emails for each of those to residents and promote that via social media, the newspapers, et cetera. And they've been a great forum to get together and discuss issues of concerns for people in the community. So next time we're around, I hope you will join us. I would like to say, as a constituent, as well as a member of the Congressman team, I'm proud of the fact that Congressman Moulton has really become a leading national voice on some important issues of international concern. Given his experience as a combat Marine veteran and his experience in the Middle East, he has taken an important position as a voice on issues related to national security and foreign policy as it relates to Iran, as it relates to Al-Qaeda in Iraq, ISIS, Syria and the Syrian refugee, and I'm proud of the fact that I really believe he is punching well above his weight as a freshman member of Congress. But I'm most proud of the fact that that hasn't taken our eyes off the prize in terms of delivering and really making an impact here in the district. And I want to talk about two areas that have been our focus in this first year. Economic development is one, and veterans, and so I want to talk a little bit about both of those. The congressman said that economic development in the 6th Congressional District was his #1 priority, and we've done a lot of things to begin to execute against that. First and foremost, we hired an economic development director, and this is not a normal position in a congressional office, and typically if someone has that responsibility, it's an entry-level person who is working primarily on writing federal grant support letters, doing things like that. We took a slightly different approach. We recruited an incredible economic development director who comes to us with over a decade of experience in commercial real estate development with one of the largest commercial real estate developers in the state of Massachusetts. He had a sort of personal crisis in his life. His brother passed away from a heart condition. He found that he had the same heart condition, underwent surgery, and sort of had this existential crisis and decided he wanted to give back through public service. And he's taken a job to be our economic development director and is doing incredible work. If you haven't met Jason yet, I really hope you will. In fact, we're having a lunch on Thursday with all the mayors, including Mayor Betancourt, and the number one agenda item is to talk about economic development here in the 6th District and how Jason and our team can support that. Another strategy that we've taken is how do we really bring more federal resources to the district? And that's a two-way street. How do we get the people in DC or the regional folks in New England to come and see, touch, feel, see what's happening here in the 6th Congressional District and get ideas on how we can better leverage federal resources? But how do we also make sure that the people here, the business leaders, the community leaders, the nonprofit leaders, know what federal resources are available to them? It's an incredible, vast, and complex universe. And so we have done tours with the regional directors of the Small Business Administration, the Economic Development Administration, Housing and Urban Development. Just last week, we brought the National Small Business Administration Director, Maria Contreras-Sweet, here to the district and did a series of meetings. We did a Small Business Administrator Lenders Roundtable discussion. We convened business leaders from around the district to have a conversation with her about their needs and how the SBA could support them. And we've hosted SBA trainings across the district and info sessions, and we just held an import-export forum with U.S. Commercial Services at the Chestnut Innovation Center in Amesbury. An incredibly successful event. Over 70 businesses showed up to learn how they can better leverage federal resources to increase the amount of business that they are doing overseas. And we look to replicate that event in the southern part of the district here in the coming year as well. And then one small thing that we've done is we've generated a federal grants newsletter. So every week we send to every single mayor and town administrator in our district a heads up on what are the emerging federal grant opportunities. And we look to develop that and make that a list that business leaders, community leaders, nonprofit leaders can get regularly as well. Some of the specific areas we've been focusing on I want to address. One is obviously incredibly important to us as a district. That's aquaculture, tourism, recreation, everything that revolves around our incredible network of lakes, streams, rivers, oceans. The Congressman has been a leader on issues affecting fishermen, especially in the Cape Ann area, how we can be innovative about the way we approach the fishing industry and actually generate more revenue out of the catch that we're getting, better use byproducts, use innovative technology and ways to strengthen and build on the strong aquaculture heritage we have here in the 6th Congressional District. And we've built strong relationships and continue to build strong relationships with the Army Corps of Engineering. Dredging projects like Crystal Lake, like the Annisquam River, the Merrimack, the Saugus are incredibly important to economic development in our district, to tourism and recreation, and to safety. We just dropped a piece of legislation to help to make it easier to dredge the Essex River, in part because the Coast Guard told us they could no longer get their boats up the river. So it's good for business, it's good for recreation, and it's critically important for safety. And we just dropped that piece of legislation 2 weeks ago. We have had a big area of focus in Lynn. The Congressman made this very clear when running for office, and we intend to deliver on this. For many years, people have said, it's Lynn's time, it's Lynn's opportunity. We strongly believe that Lynn is the gateway to our district, and a strong Lynn is good for the entire 6th Congressional District. We helped convene a group that we're calling the LEAD Team, Lynn Economic and Development, that includes the Governor, Secretary Jay Ash, several other cabinet secretaries, leaders from the federal government on down to the municipal level to focus on strengthening and building the community of Lynn. Another area of real importance to the Congressman is our growing and important tech industry. We have strong biotech, medical device, medical technology industry here in the 6th Congressional District. He has opposed efforts related to the medical device tax. We've been working on developing with a large consortium of hospitals and other thought leaders in this space in Boston, creating a small business cluster in New England that would focus on how we grow our medical technology here in New England, and especially look at underserved communities in Massachusetts and in the 6th Congressional District. And finally, the Congressman serves on the Small Business Committee, and his very first piece of legislation, take that back, his second piece of legislation was a bill to actually modernize and improve microloans being made available through the Small Business Administration. The second area of real focus of ours has been around veterans, which is obviously personally important to the Congressman, but I think it's also important to note that we have over 45,000 veterans here in the 6th Congressional District right now. We have filed 5 pieces of legislation focused on modernizing and improving veterans' health care through the VA, and we're working diligently to get those passed. We're also looking carefully at issues related to the Veterans Administration's prescription monitoring program. This relates back to the growing opioid crisis we see that is hitting all aspects of our community, but it's also hitting veterans as well. And one of the issues is we have, many of you probably know, we have a prescription monitoring program that ensures that people can't go from doctor to doctor and get multiple prescriptions, but the state system and the VA system don't communicate with one another. So there is a loophole whereby veterans can conceivably get medications through the VA and then also turn and get medications through the private practice, and we're trying to make sure that those two systems can communicate with one another. And you may have read in Saturday's Boston Globe, a column by Tom Farragher, that we're also not particularly afraid to step outside the boundaries of the 6th Congressional District or to go up against our own party establishment when we see something wrong. And the Congressman has been working hard to make sure that the affordable housing development in Alston-Brighton at the Brighton Marine Center comes to fruition, because it's an incredibly important asset for veterans who want to live in Boston and have civil service jobs. As you know, Boston has a residency requirement for many civil service jobs like fire, EMT, police, and some veterans struggle to find affordable housing, and that's an issue of great importance to us. So these issues, economic development and veterans, will obviously continue to be fundamental core issues of ours, and has been the focus of 2015. And as we look forward to 2016, our office will also be engaging more and working more in the issue of transportation infrastructure. This is critically important to our region. When we talk to businesses about trying to convince them to relocate to the North Shore, to our district, their number one concern is transportation. How do I get my people to and from work? How do I get my goods to and from where they're being produced? Transportation infrastructure is critical importance. It ties back to economic development. It ties back to quality of life. And we need to think holistically about how we approach this. Better public transportation, better rail, better roads and highways. And this is an issue of growing, that will become of growing importance and attention of our office over the next year. So thank you for your time, and have a good morning.
Thank you, Rick. Mayor Betancourt, if you wouldn't mind joining us up here. Now, at this point in time, we're going to open up the floor to ask any of these representatives any questions you may have whatsoever. Good opportunity, given the cast of characters we have here today. So I encourage you, please. Deanne has the microphone.
All right, thanks very much. I want to thank Mayor Betancourt and our elected officials for joining us again this morning. Remember, North Shore Bank has been helping the community prosper since 1888, and we thank you again for your support. Look around the room, and you'll see like-minded people. It's people interested in doing business locally and seeing each other prosper and succeed. I ask you to continue to support those who support your local Chamber of Commerce, because together we can do great things. Thank you for joining us this morning, and have a great day.